All right, I'm back. I realized I forgot to go over in detail one of the things I was supposed to for the pre-lab, and that's half drops on titrations. It mentions this in the Appendix B, so if you go through Appendix B, it won't be too hard for you. But
All right.
basically, when you get close to your end point, and the end point is when it's turning the solution pink, but it's not quite staying, but it is staying pretty dang pink. And a good example of this is in that video where another person's doing a titration. You're going to want to add smaller amounts of liquid. A full drop could overshoot your end point by a lot, meaning your accuracy won't be as good. And so how can you get around this? Well, when you get close to that point, when you're almost having a complete solution that is pink, you're going to want to add smaller drops. There's a cool trick. So let's do screen share. Screen share. Awesome. This always trippy to see myself. So I'm going to include this link. This was really, really cool. Adding titrant by half drops. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to put a partial drop. Now this drop right here is not big enough to fall. It's just hanging on to the tip of that burette. And then they're like, all right, we're going to knock you off. We already have put water in here. Water isn't going to affect any part of this titration. It's just going to dilute it, but you still have the same amount of stuff in there. And so it's perfectly fine to add water in to rinse the edges. So they put that half drop on there, then they take their DI squirt bottle and they just squirt it off. And if as it falls, it hits the side, then they can just sort of squirt the side of the flask too to make sure it all runs down here to the bottom. And what they say is when you're near the endpoint, carefully open the stopcock slightly so that a drop forms on the tip of the burette but won't fall, then turn it off and then squirt it off. And then this is considered a half top. Now this is interesting. So the remaining fluid on the tip of the burette at this point is entirely laboratory water. The next full drop that the burette releases from the tip will actually be another half drop of titrant combined with the remaining water on the tip. So you alternate back and forth, adding half drops of titrant for this. So that's how you can do half drops. And another really good tip. I'd never thought of this, but I love this tip because I guarantee some of you guys are going to overshoot this. It's going to be super pink, not like a light pink, but it's going to be like a hot pink, hot mess pink. And what they say is you can actually reserve a little portion of your initial amount. And that way, if you overshoot it, you can put it like, this is not in the lab manual. This is not what I'm going to tell you to do. But if you guys are super smart, and you guys are in complete control of your own grade. And if you read this extra little tip here and think that it'll help your grade in any way, I'm not going to stop you from doing it because it is a very smart idea. But this will be included because this is going to be linked in the supplemental information. I'll send a link to this resource. But I tell you guys how to do half drop, and that's what I was forgetting. So, and another little thing, I'm going to practice using Zoom recording. So currently everything has gone to YouTube. I checked though, so if I do a Zoom recording, I can upload it to a cloud. It lets me pause videos, and that would essentially eliminate problems like this where it's like, oh man, I forgot to include something in a video, because then I can just pause, review my notes. So we'll see how this goes. Maybe it'll make things better. Don't know yet. But the supplemental information will be links